Dr. Huda. You're an expert on social policy. You see this firsthand from the field and from the reports and from the numbers. Your numbers are more updated. What do you see, one, as the most pressing challenges now that are hindering women's participation and leadership, most importantly, in agriculture, and how can these be addressed in a proper, practical manner?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here in this very important summit. To answer your question, Jessy, the most significant barriers to women's empowerment is the persistent gender inequality gaps in access to resources, including, as you mentioned in your introduction, land, capital, services, input, and technologies, which are actually key to working in agri-food system, not alone leading agri-food systems, right? Another pressing issue is the constraining social norms, which is about women's perceived roles in the public sphere. It's also related to their mobility. So this is also like one of the significant challenges. The quality of available jobs that women work is also a pressing issue. So basically, at a global level, research shows that women tend to work in less paid, irregular, invisible, and low-paid types of jobs, which may increase...
And physically demanding.
Exactly, which may, increase their vulnerability. Time and mobility also constrain, and these, barriers are related to women's care burden. So they are navigating the care work in the domestic sphere, taking care of their children, their, maybe elderly parents, by also having to manage their farms, their businesses. So this is also one of the barriers that we should take into consideration as a policymakers.
The question is how?
Exactly.
Good luck with that. Let's do that.
To answer your questions, it's not all doom and gloom. There are some encouraging statistics. So in a recent report that we conducted by the Food and Agriculture Organization on the status of rural women, we found that there are certain gaps which have been actually bridged, which is the access to financial services as well as technology. So the gap reduced from 25% to 15% from 2017 till 2023, which is a very encouraging figure. To answer the second part of your question, it's very important to have a multi-sectoral, multifaceted approach, that combines different level, and it operates at a macro, meso, and a micro level. To answer your question, also policy regulation is very important, right? So we found out that access to subsidized childcare is very important because it frees women work burden and allow them to engage freely in agri-food system. So this is important from the policy perspective. It's very important to invest in long life skills and training and education because it allows women to be the agents of change as well. It's very important also for us to work on community engagement. So basically working with local producers, organizations to challenge the stereotypes about women's role in the public sphere. So this is also a key that we should include in our policy sphere.
Thank you. Nour, going into another layer of challenges, as if women in agriculture don't have enough challenges, is climate change. And it seems to be affecting women in the sector quite significantly. And I'm scared now because I see your iPad and I know you have numbers for us. So do give us what are these pressing challenges when it comes to climate change on women, and also some adaptation, maybe strategy that have proven to be most effective.
Thank you, Jessy. First of all, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Jessy. It's really a pleasure to be here with you all today. At IGBA, of course, we acknowledge that climate change is not gender neutral, and over the past 25 years, throughout our work, we have really seen how climate change is disproportionately affecting women in agriculture. In all the countries we worked in, we work in the MENA region, in Sub-Saharan Africa, and Central Asia as well. And this is mainly due to the limited access to resources, to land, to decision-making, and data as well. And building on that and the many consultative meetings we had with key partners, with key stakeholders, IGBA has launched a very important initiative last year on the Gender Equality Day at COP28, which is WACA, or what we call Women Alliance for Climate Action and Agriculture. And really the goal of this initiative is to positively impact 1 million women globally by 2050. We know it's quite an ambitious goal to really reach.
I didn't say anything, I just smiled.
It is a quite ambitious goal, but we believe that through strategic partnerships, for example, such as with FAO and other key partners, we can really achieve this goal because it is very much needed. And the purpose of this alliance is really to create a platform of women researchers, stakeholders, farmers, philanthropists, agripreneurs, to bring them together and see how we can address these solutions, mobilize resources, and mobilize the efforts to bridge this gap. And answering the second part of your questions, what are some of the adaptation strategies that we have been implementing are proving to be effective, is introducing climate-resilient crops, which is something really at the heart of what we do at ICBA. We always promote to introduce stress-resilient crops, whether tolerant to drought, to heat, to salinity, and at the same time that are nutritious and can withstand very harsh climatic conditions. For example, we are growing quinoa and millets at our research station in Dubai, and the conditions are very much desert conditions, and they are growing and thriving and doing very well. Another example I would like to share with you today is one of our projects in Morocco, where we have introduced quinoa value chain. Under this project, we provided women cooperatives in particular with quinoa seeds and the needed processing equipment for quinoa. And quinoa was actually a new crop for Morocco. They were not, it is not really part of their diet. So we had to train women on how can they use, not only grow quinoa, but how can they incorporate it into their local diets. And they actually started producing quinoa-based couscous, which, you know, it's a very famous local dish in Morocco, and they are now selling it in the market. So this is one of the it was a very successful initiative. Of course, among other adaptation strategies is introducing smart water management tools, empowering women, as Dr. Huda has mentioned, through training, education, and involving them in decision-making processes. We always make sure that women are involved in all our projects from the inception phase up until concluding and closing the project, to make sure that their perspectives, their needs are actually addressed.
Yeah, and it's beautiful how you incorporate a new product into their own household to make it really a full ecosystem. I want to stay with you on the climate change as well. Now, from the FAO's perspective, specifically data and technology, you know, growing all of these products in desert areas uses a lot of technology. How has FAO leveraged this technology to tailor specific programs, and specifically some of the unique challenges faced by women in, as you explained to me, agri-food systems and not just agriculture? And I'm grateful you explained to me the difference between both.
Yeah, thank you, Jessy. So yeah, regarding data and innovation, we are integrating that in our core operations, strategic like priorities. For instance, we have the 1000 Digital Village Initiative, we have the e-agriculture community of a practice, we have FAO Digital Service Portfolio, which is very important. Maybe I can focus on FAO Digital Portfolio. So basically, it's a cloud-based platform, which includes many digital apps that are specifically targeting small-scale holders as well as rural women. And if you go there, I encourage everybody in the room to take a look. We have various applications. So there is one example, which is called Al Mufid app, which was launched back in 2019 in Egypt. And it's a digital advisory rural service that targets both farmers, women, and men who are involved in the citrus planting and date palm value chain.
Is that AI-based?
No, it's not AI-based, but it's very important. So, you know, because sometimes with technology, we think we go to the most fascinating part, but, you know, simple is also beautiful, and mobile-based applications still have a role to play. And, you know, during the design and the formulation of that project, it was done in a very participatory way. So rural women were invited to specific inception workshop, and like their input was considered while designing basically the advisory services, because the application has information about the nutrition value of these products, the selling prices, because research also shows that women usually they tend to get lesser return of their the product that basically they sell. So providing them with information that are tailored there help them to have a more negotiating power, basically, right? Also, we work, you know, we are introducing technology to the field level, right? So I will give also an example of a project that I was personally involved with. It's called the Talking Books Initiative, and we piloted it last year in Uganda, and we're going to implement it next year in Kenya. So basically, they are devices, radio-based devices with an audio content, and it's tailored to women with low literacy skills, basically. So we're providing information to women in the local language in the format of like songs, soap operas, like really entertaining
into
and
the
engaging
culture.
way. Exactly, which allow women to fully engage, so they are not left behind. And two quick points as well, through data and innovation also, like we're prioritizing the collection of gender disaggregated data because it's a key point, because it allows us to really tap into the areas that require specific intervention. And for that, we work with the National Statistics Offices as well UN organizations.
Can you please reshare the name of it? Is it a software or it's an application, or do they go online? How can they make use of these apps?
Back to the apps. It's in digital service portfolio.
Okay, it's called digital services portfolio.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
And lastly, we engage in policy dialogue to make the case to bridge the gender-rural digital divide, and invest in rural infrastructure in order not to leave the people who are marginalized, because it's an issue with the digital gender gap. Thank you.
So this timer is it's stressing me out. I'm now conscious of the time, so I'll give you, Nour, in 2 minutes or less. I know you have a lot of successful initiatives, but give us maybe the top initiatives that have helped improve the livelihoods, of women farmers. And I must say that even for us outsiders, I mean, we're not, us journalists who are not experts in agri, also, when you say women in agriculture, the first thing we think of is farmers. That's it. We don't even know, or it didn't even occur to us that all of the lack of the leadership roles for women in the field. But let's see some of your successful initiatives.
Thank you, Jessy. Actually, in addition to WACA, to the alliance we have launched at COP28, we have another very successful initiative called AULA, Arab Women Leaders in Agriculture. And this initiative is very much dedicated to Arab women researchers to really build their capabilities and capacities in leadership skills, as well in research skills and project development. It is a one-year capacity development program, and so far we have graduated around 58 AULA fellows from different countries in the MENA region. So we have graduates from the UAE, from Lebanon, from Jordan, as well from Tunisia, Morocco, and many others. And another successful initiative, and which is actually conducted in partnership with the FAO, it's the e-learning academy platform, where we offer free online courses. Most of them are CPD accredited, and we have many women e-learners who really benefited from these courses, and it's really a wide range of courses. So you have soil science, waste management, agricultural value chains, among others. And also I would like to highlight actually that capacity development is really at the heart of what we do at ICBA. It is embedded in all our projects. We always make sure that the transfer and the applied science being really held here in our research station in the UAE is transferred to farmers in the countries we work in, and particularly to women, because we know they are the most vulnerable groups when it comes to climate change. For example, we are now running a very big project funded by IFAD and Badia in 7 different African countries called Rizade. You can check it on our website, where we are trying to improve the resilience and productivity of farmers in salinity-affected areas, and over 50% of the targeted beneficiaries are women. They are not only being trained, they are also taking part of our best practice hubs, where we are sharing what are the best practices to grow climate-resilient crops. We are offering them the stress-tolerant seeds, as well as the equipment, such as inputs and soil amendments and so on, so they can really continue and cultivate and grow the food again.
Dr. Huda, I hear that education, now from your answers, education, or be it upskilling and training, is a big pillar and a big focus. Sure. In the remaining few minutes, I'd love to hear from you. Maybe, what do you think, if you were to advise, let's say, governments or policymakers now, on their top priority in the next few years in order to increase women participation, what do you think it should be?
Sure, it's a topic that is really dear
I know,
to my
I can
heart.
tell from the sparkle in your eyes when I said education. You're like
No, I think it's important for us to realize and communicate to policymakers that education is not just about allowing women or for women to have a better access to better jobs or higher return, but it's like fostering a power within, right? So women can have the opportunities that they choose to pursue, basically, with and without, within or without the agri-food system. So it's education allows empowerment, and this is connected to the discussion that we had. We don't
support. We decided to substitute the lexicon of the word women empowerment because we found it to be so overused and really unfair. Doesn't even do the job with the word support.
Yeah, because we don't want to like
or
have
access.
like a parachute approach, and we impose empowerment from like top down, right? So by education, women can, decide and in whatever form or shape. But considering your question about the best strategies, in our work, we found out that, for example, designing training around women's schedule, mobility constraint, as even planting season is very important, basically, as well as allowing women who, like, in case you're conducting training, to bring their children to the training facility, or having a facility that in which women can, take their children and leave them in a very safe environment. That is very important, and that's why it's important to invest in it while doing the training. Moreover, taking care of women literacy constraint is very important, so we don't marginalize the women who cannot read or write, because they're also a big segment in the rural areas. And lastly, combining soft skills training with technical training, and we do it. We have an approach in FAO called Women Empowerment Farmers Business Schools, and in that we have courses about marketing, selling, but also we have soft skills training. So basically teaching women the importance of speaking in the public sphere, confidence, being better negotiators. So that's the combination.
So many soft skills are so important. It's not enough to have to know about agriculture. You have to know about sales and marketing and public speaking and negotiating and all of the other soft skills.
So I would say so, yeah.
Wonderful. So maybe 20 seconds for you. What would you say? Don't even look at numbers. What would you say should be the top priority for any policymaker looking to boost women participation in this system? What would you say should be the priority?
I think really the top priority, we've been doing so many regional dialogues in Central Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa, and really one of the main top priorities was capacity development, access to finance, and access to inputs. Because even if you train female farmers on, let's say, growing the crops, if you don't provide them with the seeds, they can't do much. And actually also access to land. This was really one
markets.
Access to land, of course, as well as access to markets and nearby markets, because women farmers usually they cannot commute very long distances to sell their produce. So I think this is also among the very important challenges, and access to land was highlighted on all of our discussions. And decision-making power, because when you have limited decision-making, you cannot really decide what you want to do with your farm. For example, some farmers in Africa, they mentioned that we want to shift. We no longer want to grow cash crops. We want to grow more climate-resilient crops. But because we do not own the land and we have much little say to do when it comes to decision-making, we cannot really do this shift and grow crops like millets, quinoa, and so on.